All right, so we are now moving on. So your starter looks like this, right? Sorry, I forgot to cut them. So all you really have to do if you really want to is just fold it in half. We're only going to do 4 problems and they're the same. So choose the top half, the bottom half, whatever you want to do. Okay, so we are going to now multiply polynomials. Okay, so we've been adding and subtracting them. So hopefully you remember how to do that. Now 7.2 is asking you how to multiply. Guys, this is what I'm talking about, what I talked about yesterday. This is the chapter, and I'll be honest with you, this is the easiest chapter to cheat on. You can just boom, put it in Photomath, and boom, there's your answer. Okay, you can do that, and it'll be so easy to cheat on this chapter. But this is also one of the most important chapters. Okay, chapter 7, chapter 8, and chapter 9. You cannot fake it till you make it. Okay, because if you do, when you get to Algebra 2 in 10th grade, those teachers are going to be like, oh my gosh, how do you not know the most basic of this? You can't be in Algebra 2 in 10th grade. Like they won't even give you a choice. They'll just kick you out. Okay. Please learn it the actual way. Okay. Today is not too hard. Tomorrow's not going to be too hard. Maybe later this chapter, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, but please actually try to learn it. Okay. Because truly, okay, this is like, you have to know this for ninth and not really ninth grade, but 10th grade at least. You won't really use this in geometry too much. Okay, so let's multiply polynomials. So remember how we used to always say, oh, whenever you see parentheses, you distribute. You distribute the thing that's before the parentheses. Well, look, you have another parentheses before the parentheses. So basically, when you distribute, what you're going to do is you are going to take the first thing and then multiply, and then take the second thing and do the same thing, multiply. So that's basically the distributive property. Take A, multiply, take negative B because it's minus, and then you multiply. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm not going to teach you FOIL just yet. I'm going to teach you the distributive property first. So if I take A and I multiply, so what's A times 2A? 2A squared, right? Because it's 2A and then to the second power because there's now 2A's. All right, what's A times positive 3B? 3AB, right? You have a 3 and you have an A and a B. It's a positive, so it's a plus, right? Because there was a positive here. So it's plus 3AB because it was a positive or a plus. Okay, I'm actually going to use a different color because orange and red look a little similar. Okay, so now I'm going to take the second number and I'm going to multiply and multiply. Okay, so now remember, this is not B, this is negative B, or think of it as negative 1B. So what's negative B times positive 2A? Negative 2AB. And remember, when I write this, we always write the letters in alphabetical order. So it's not negative 2BA, it's negative 2 and then A and then B. And it's negative or it's a minus, right? Because it's negative times a positive is a negative. And then finally, negative B times positive 3B is not 2. Yes, negative 3B squared, because now there's 2B's. So negative 3B squared. Okay, so now when I multiply like that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to combine things that have the same endings. So normally, it's always the middle two that have the same endings, but depending on what order you multiply in, you should normally have two things that only have the same endings. So let's rewrite my answer then. Okay, so I have 2A squared. This is in standard form, right? The squareds go first. And then minus 3B squared, right? Because the squareds go first. And now these only have, well, I guess they all have a power of 2, but so like what would be plus 3 minus 2? Plus AB. So remember, you can write plus AB or you can write plus 1AB, same thing. And then that would be your answer. So this is how you multiply polynomials. You can multiply it by doing the distributive method where you times like the first thing with the first two and then the second thing by the second two. Or you can use the FOIL method. The FOIL method is just a trick. It literally gives you the same answer. It's just some people are like, I don't know what to do. So if I say FOIL, you're like, oh, I know what to do. So let me show you how to do this doing FOIL. But again, if you don't like FOIL and you wanted to do it the way that we did it here, sure, same thing. Okay. So FOIL, remember, stands for first outer inner, and then last. Okay, that's what FOIL stands for. First, outer, inner, last. So you have 4 numbers total. You have 2 groups of parentheses. So this just tells you the order in which you multiply. So the first, what 2 things here are the firsts in each parentheses? 3n and n, right? Aren't these the first things you see in each parenthesis? So you multiply the firsts. So 3n times n is 3n squared. Good. Okay, now let's do outers. So think of you have like outside numbers and inside numbers. So what are the 2 things here that are on the very outside of the whole problem? 3n and 1. You see how 3n and 1, they're on the very outside of this whole problem. So 3n times 1 is just 3n, right? 3n times itself times 1 is just 3n. So it's a positive, so it's you write plus 3n. Now I stands for inner. Inner means what 2 things are on the insides of this big parentheses? -4 and n. Remember, this is a -4, right? Not a positive. So -4 times n is just -4n. And then you have last. So what are the last terms in each parentheses? -4 and 1. Yeah, so what's -4 times 1? -4, because you have to multiply. And now again, you have to find the 2 things. And normally it's always in the 2 things in between that you combine because they have the same endings. So I would have 3n squared. What's plus 3 minus 4? -1. So either you write -1n, or you could just write -n, same thing. And then you have that -4. So if you really want to, you can use Photomath. If you really wanted to, I guess, check your answer. Please, though, try it yourself, though, okay? Don't just cheat your way through this because you're going to do yourself such a big disservice later, okay? So that would be my answer. And I would get the same answer if I did it this way. So you choose, like, do you like the FOIL way or do you like the distributive property way? Honestly, it doesn't matter, okay? With the FOIL way, we kind of say, look, yay, doesn't that kind of look like a little dude, like his little eyes, his little nose, and his little mouth, and that's his head. So that's kind of how you know if you multiplied it correctly. But again, you can choose any way you want to multiply, okay? So FOIL, distributive property. All right. Number 3. So let's do this. So what do you guys normally like better? Do you like the distributive property better or do you like FOIL better? Okay, so if you said you like the distributive property, do the distributive property. If you said you like FOIL better, do FOIL. I don't care which way you do it, but let's try it by yourself. I'll do it both ways, okay? So just to show you, just to prove to you that I can get the same answer either way. Be careful with your positives and negatives, okay, guys? I think that's just what's going to mess you up the most. Okay, did we get negative 12h squared minus 14h plus 6? Hopefully. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you, I did it the distributive property on the left, I did it the FOIL method on the right, I still got the same answer. If you even look at like the pattern, do you see how honestly, look, I got the same term, the same second term, the same third term, the same fourth term. So do you even see how the distributive property and the FOIL method is literally the same thing? You're just drawing different loops. Like I feel like it's just, so that's all you really prefer. Do you just care about how you draw the loops? And that's it. But I still get it in the same exact order. So there's no difference between the distributive property and the FOIL property. Okay, last question, and then we'll start the level work. So try this by yourself, distributive property, FOIL property, I don't care which one. And then just make sure you write it in standard form at the very end. So hopefully for this one, you got negative 1x to the fourth minus 3x to the third minus 2x minus 6. If there is nothing to combine, because they all have different endings, then that's okay. That just means that there's nothing to combine and you just have 4 terms. Okay? So that's what you're going to be doing for your level work today. All right? For the level work, as